right now. And over the weekend, I shot a awesome Roaring 20s party for a company named Aller that does, I believe, news. I shot it with the EOS R, and really what I was testing is to see how well the phone worked with the app to back up the photos. Second, I wanted to see how well it worked in low light, and third, how the viewfinder worked in low light with the flash combined. So this is the first event that I've ever shot with the EOS R, and I wanted to see really how it did in extreme low light with the flash, because it's a mirrorless camera and you can't really see through the viewfinder as you would like on a 6D. So we're going to cover exactly how I did and what my first impressions were in low light with the EOS R. So pretty much all I used at this event was this flash right here, the 430EX Mark II, I guess? I don't know, speed light. And then this Canon camera right here, the EOS R. And I just have the f4 24-105, and I use that for the entire night. It's all right to use for like the portraits that I did, not the portraits, but where everybody comes and poses next to this wall. I'll show you these right there, and I'll show you some of the problems that I had while I was taking these, and they came from some specific reasons. But going on, this camera, let's start with the last video that I had that you're probably coming from, which was how to back up your photos as you take them from this, because as everybody knows, there's only one card slot. So backing these up through the phone, there's the app, and then you can have them directly transferred to your phone as you take them. And this is pretty useful because then you have the backups, and in case this gets corrupted or you drop it down a drain or something, you still have the backed up files. My biggest problem is that it wasn't working for me. And this could be partly because of the app and partly because my phone's a piece of trash. And I've had so many problems with this in connectivity. I can't even connect my laptop reliably up to this phone to use the Wi-Fi settings from the, from the phone. And so I would shoot about 12, 13, 14, 15 photos, and then it would drop. So what I ended up doing as a workaround, which was still very relieving because I knew that I had the photos, is I shot those and realized it wasn't working after a little while. And then ever so often I would go through, and in the app, I would just turn off the auto download from it, or auto connect, and then I would just go through and select 50 photos at a time and download those to my phone directly. Like sit aside, take a step back. Yeah, it was a little bit annoying to have to do that, but at least as I was shooting it, I knew that I had those 50 photos that I had a backup, and then the next 50 photos that I had a backup. And I worked around it that way, which gave me a lot of peace of mind, because the most horrifying thing for me when I'm going away from one of these events is, what if something happens? What if the card gets corrupted? And I literally have nothing to give the client. And it's not like doing product photography where if your card gets corrupted, you just go back to the table, set everything back up, and take the photos again. Once the event is done, the event is done. And that's one of the reasons why I can see people definitely not going with the EOS R and going with something like the 5D Mark II or 5D Mark IV, and where they have the dual card slots so that they do have everything backed up all the time. So, on to the next part. The actual viewfinder inside the, because it's not a mirrorless camera and you can see exactly what it is, and your eyes are really good at seeing in low light, but the camera isn't. So it brought up some problems, and when I was shooting with the 6D for the events that I would do, I was able to see exactly what's happening on exactly right then. But when you look through the viewfinder, it's a little bit behind, and it takes significantly longer to catch focus from what I can tell in low light, because it goes from what you have the settings at. So if I had the settings at 400 ISO, the camera internally needs to be able to see, it has to bump up the ISO, and so it'll bump up it to 60 and sometimes 124. And then there's that little bit of time, and so I would miss a shot or two here or there, not a huge difference, but when you come up and it's dark, and then it takes a second to adjust itself because it realizes it has the flash as well and it needs to be able to see, it just takes a little bit longer to focus than what I would have liked. Very, very minor detail, and very, very fractionally shorter than I would like it to take, but it was enough to be noticeable as I was shooting. But on the exact same side, it was really nice to have that screen inside there, because one of the biggest problems when shooting in low light is that your screen looks, the actual screen on the back of it looks incredibly bright while you are just holding it like this outside. Because it's completely dark around you and you have the screen. So it's really easy to underexpose because you think the photos are brighter than they actually are. So that's why it's good to use a histogram. But it's a lot easier because with the EOS R, because inside the lens finder, viewfinder, inside the viewfinder, it has the photo that will flash up after you take the photo. So I take the photo, then it appears, the photo, and I get to see it without having any other distortions. I can just see it through the lens. So it allows you to see it exactly how you are used to seeing it, because even if you're bright daylight and you have the viewfinder up here, the image on the inside is going to stay consistently the same brightness in comparison to its surroundings. So you can be very, very comfortable that you are used to seeing that type of image. So you can easily understand if you're overexposed or underexposed. That brings us up to the next thing that I noticed. So with the 6D, I was chronically underexposing it. And on this one, I was chronically overexposing. And that's one part because I've turned down the back screen light, and then another part that the ceilings were significantly lower than what I'm used to shooting with, and I really had to, for example, in these photos right here, where they had their little 2020 Roaring 20s type photo booth thing, there was a ton of air ducts above it. And so if I had the flash at just like a quarter or even, just one, on it, it would only get a small fraction of light to where I needed it to. It would just get all trapped up there in the rafter type looking stuff. And so I really had to crank the flash up to 2.5, 3 times power. And that really, really ended up giving me a very bleached out, overexposed look on some of the photos. Like I'll show you one of the two of them that couldn't make it because they got too overexposed. And what was crazy is that one step forward or one step backwards, and it would go from completely overexposed or completely underexposed, just because the light, for some reason, could get through the rafters and back down while I stood in that position. However, I would definitely go for overexposing photos to underexposing photos. So here is a roll of all the photos that I think actually turned out very, very nice while doing this photo shoot. I cranked them out. The next 2 days, knocked it all out. I was doing a ton of other stuff during those days and was still able to deliver 142 photos, and I also did them in black and white. Let me know which one you actually think is better, the black and white or the regular ones for this type of themed party. I really did enjoy shooting it. Did very much so enjoy the experience shooting with the EOS R. In this, I've only gone over some of the drawbacks to using this camera. However, while I was on the positive side, it only missed focus twice. And that's when I tried to shoot a photo from completely across on the other side of the room, completely dark, and I couldn't even use the flash. So there wasn't any of the viewfinding. In addition, the photos came out incredibly sharp even at high ISOs because of the large sensor in here. As well, it is really easy to see, usually, that things are underexposed while you're looking through the viewfinder before you take the photo, and just having everything set prior really, really helped. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and let me know exactly which ones you like better, the black and white photos or the color photos. Thank you for watching. My name is Daniel, and here on this channel we go over everything mirrorless Canon cameras. Have a great day. Move up. Oh, it's a little bit blue from all that. And it has this weird tracking over there. It doesn't want to get my face. There we go. For some reason it locked onto the picture behind me right there, and it was focusing on that. It was really weird. So